What's up, Professor Howell? My name is Adrian Lobos. I am your COM-263 class at 3 o'clock, I think. And I'm going to be talking about what Nacirema and my reaction based off of what I read. And for me, the article kind of represented American culture through the anthropological lens, making everyday customs seem foreign, even bizarre. My reaction is that it highlights cultural practices when described without familiarity. What I mean by that is that it can clearly appear strange or even irrational. It makes me reflect on how we perceive other cultures and how our own behavior might even seem unusual to outsiders. You know, for us living in America, there's not one true we don't have a language, we don't have a culture that we all represent. For us, in the Constitution, it says that we're free to have the right to free religion, have a right from free speech. So we were able to choose. God gave us free will. So for us, to be able to choose which religion and which culture that we represent is solely based on whichever that we feel is right. And there's not really one true religion and not one true culture that everybody follows. Yes, there might be a majority, like majority of us speak English, majority of us are Christian, majority of us are atheists. We don't know. But I do know that in America, we are allowed to be able to be expressed freely as to who we get to be able to, which culture we can be able to represent clearly. It challenges on how cultures are more superior to each other. I've realized that there are some cultures, since there's more people that are from that culture, and I believe that there's like more of a, I guess I would say that there's kind of like a more majority, and more people practice that culture or practice or have certain behaviors towards that is just completely different to others. A little bit of experience from what the history through my family's culture I've noticed is that the communication is a little different than regular Spanish. Most of my family is Cuban and Chilean, and the rituals on both are very similar, but there are some differences, but it's to the slightest point. But we're just an ordinary American family, and but through a Spanish perspective, I would say, for example, one thing that we commonly do is talk in Spanish. That's our way of communication, but not only do we do that, we have a certain lingo to it. We say words differently. If certain Spanish languages have say a word this way, we say the exact same way, but it means something differently. And so one example that I can think of is cuestión. That's another way of just like that's actually a made up word that my family says because it's kind of like an inside family thing. And that just means that thing, it's just something that an inside family joke. But now even outside through communication, one of the things that our family experiences a lot is a superstition called mal de ojo, or what we say evil eye, a literal translation of it. It's a superstition across multiple cultures, but usually well known in the Cuban culture, that brings upon bad luck and misfortune to some people. It's believed that someone can allegedly curse someone because of their jealousy, or they just have a lot of envy towards them. This is a superstition that basically transfers negative energy into someone's life. Now, my family doesn't believe in that stuff. Majority of my family, I would say, because we are followers of the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. We don't believe any superstitions like that. But we know people in our family that believe so. And so for us, we actually know a little bit more about superstitions because of it. The article on Nacirema illustrates how cultural practices, rituals, and events can appear rigid and deeply ingrained, yet they're always evolving. That's kind of what I've noticed throughout history. Many of the rituals describes such as obsessive personal hygiene, body modification, or reliance on medical professionals, have transformed due to the technological advances, societal shifts, and changing values. For example, while the holy mouth men and what they view as the dentists remain a key part of American culture, dental technology and attitudes towards oral health has been modernized, similar to like how I explained before with my family superstition. So it is still a superstition that is well known in America for some, because like I said before, there's not a lot of people that, or we don't have one language, we don't have, one culture that we all represent. We're all just a mix of all kinds of stuff. But it's a really well-known thing in the Spanish culture, and for the United States having a lot of people who are of Spanish descent, there's a lot of people that actually know really well none of that. And so, for me, it goes to show that the article shows that there's specific, practice changes underlying the cultural values and self-improvement, consumerism, and deep belief in expert authority persist. The highlights on how traditions are both resilient and adaptive, continuously reshaped by new knowledge and societal priorities. One thing I will say is that cultural patterns, practices, rituals in the United States can be both beneficial and detrimental depending on the perspective. On the positive side, advancements in medicine, technology, and self-care have improved the overall health and quality of life and access to information. The evolution of beauty and the body rituals, for example, has changed towards inclusivity and self-adaptance rather than just rigid, harmful standards. Additionally, changing societal norms have fostered greater individual freedoms and diversity of cultural expressions. However, some changes can be seen as detrimental. Consumerism has intensified with self-improvement on being commodified, leading to increase in pressure to conform to ever-changing beauty of wellness trends. The reliance on expert authority, while beneficial in many cases, can also lead to over-medicalization or excessive dependence on external validation. This is the end of my video. I appreciate you from hearing from my side as to what my reaction was solely based on. I will say I was reading off of something that I did write, because I have written a lot and I didn't know if I was going to be able to actually say all of that just off the top of my head, so I had to write it down. But yeah, this is all I had to say through my reaction of Nacirema and through the American cultural of how people viewed it through different perspectives, not just an American perspective.